Yo, Sleepy Sheepy here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and that's going to be the Bad Red Man Bounty Board challenges. So some good folks over at the Bad Red Man community put together a number of PvP related challenges, and I found those to be pretty interesting enough to kind of dust off my PS5 controller and make some new content. So we're going to be running through these challenges today in one full video, kind of checking them off as we go, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump into what those challenges are. So I'll post a link to this page in the description below, and if you want to participate, you're more than welcome to. This is going to be available until November 6th, and essentially you'll just go through and complete any of these challenges that you can and post a clip of yourself doing so. So the 5 challenges that we'll be looking at in this video are going to be the reverse parry or riposte. So that's going to be a parry while you're facing the wrong direction, and then you turn around for the riposte. Then killing a host with a weapon that you can't wield. We'll also be trying to kill 5 people in a single invasion, where you are allowed to kill the same summon over and over again if the host keeps summoning them, as well as winning an invasion without taking any damage. This doesn't apply to AFK or host suicide, so that's, kind of a logical parameter there. And then you also need to hide an item and lead a host to pick it up. Then the host has to pick it up. So I thought these were really fun challenges, and they kind of, have different levels of skill expression, and they also have different levels of creativity, and really just kind of take you through the different experiences that you might have as an invader. So let's go ahead and jump into some of these challenges. Alright, so jumping into our first invasion, we're going to be facing a blue and overleveled summon, as well as a host that doesn't really participate too much, but this is going to be a perfect opportunity to go for the 5 kills in one invasion challenge. So that's going to be kind of our main focus here, but there is a good point that somebody made in the comments for these challenges, that you're not just limited to getting one of these challenges completed in the same invasion. So essentially you can double up on multiple challenges in the same invasion, and we'll actually end up doing that within this challenge. So here we can see things starting off a little bit rough. The overleveled summon is going to be hitting us pretty hard, and we definitely have to kind of mind the AoE coming from Moog's Spear from the blue. They're really into that Ash of War. Fortunately, they don't have any blue flasks, so eventually we will run them out of that FP that is so required for the Ash of War they love to use, but it does take a little while. So mostly we're just kind of backpedaling here, trying to get in a more tactical position and avoid the incoming damage. And if we can clip people in the process, that'll be great, but it's mostly just an effort to survive at this point. And we also have an Abductor Virgin coming into the mix, which is pretty nice. This is a much better area to be fighting, in my opinion. We have the different ledges that we can use, and we also have the PvE that just one-shots the overleveled Phantom. So we'll be seeing quite a few runes coming our way, especially for level 85, which we're running for this build. So we are going to throw a few oil pots here, and that's mostly just because I didn't have a great selection of projectiles, since this is a build that nobody's dropped me anything for it. So it's just like kind of what I had. And we are going to be pairing that with some of the red main pots, and the oil pots mixed with the red main pots are going to do quite a bit of damage, so close to 500, especially on a blue that's wearing some very tanky armor. And essentially we're just kind of getting them to backpedal and seeing if we can deliver some damage in the process. Now, I don't have an amazing connection with them. There are a number of times where I was expecting to land my hit and it just didn't quite connect. So that jumping attack, for example, which would have true comboed into the light attack follow-up, but no such luck there. So we're kind of just, getting used to the connection there, and I find that the whip might be a slightly better option against this player. It has kind of a more lingering hitbox, and you don't need to be as precise with your timing when compared to something like Halberd. But then I decide, we've got 3 players, and it's a little bit chaotic. I would like to turn it into 2 players, so I go ahead and just pull out the Raptor Talons and put some Bloodflame Blade on them, and that's going to absolutely obliterate pretty much anybody that runs into it. I do manage to get the kill with the fan daggers there, so I would say I'm up to 1 kill for this invasion. The PvE so far has, claimed 1 life, and I've claimed the other, and I'm here, you know, finally getting some advantage of the Blood Flame Blade being a kind of lingering hit thing where, you know, the phantom hits do still cause buildup, and I am able to get some damage done on this blue, but they're really kind of the thorn in my side throughout the course of this invasion. And here things get a little chaotic again. I am trying to get some strafe backstabs on this overleveled phantom. They definitely seem susceptible to it, especially with their weapon, but you know, whenever I do get hit, I take quite a bit of damage. So here I do finally get that strafe backstab, and Moog Spear does come in, you know, right afterwards, which is a little bit scary, but I'm able to just kind of traverse the roofs in a good enough way to deliver some damage. Now, I think I spent a little bit too much time here. If I'm honest, I took some unnecessary hits and lost some FP that, or some HP rather, as well as some Estus that would have been pretty helpful for the long-term invasion, especially when I'm going for, you know, 5 invasion kills in the same invasion, where, you know, you really want to make sure you're pretty conscientious about how you're using your flasks. So there I use my last healing flask and use my Physic as well, and I've got a plan in this point where I'm gonna go for Black Flame Tornado, and fortunately everybody kind of walks into that little narrow gap, and I'm able to take out both players, at least hit them with my Ash of War, and I believe that brings the count of players we've actually killed either to 2 or 3. I'm not sure, somebody can keep track in the comments, but at this point we're still going for this blue with a slightly bad connection. They're actually fairly tanky, especially for this level. It's a little bit rare to see somebody with this much vigor, but we are kind of backing them towards some more PvE, and while it's not the strongest PvE, it's going to be helpful. So I am able to land a backswing there, and then this little snake guy is able to deliver a couple of just kind of random hits with their scimitar, and we do come out successfully against that blue that really was causing the problem for the majority of this invasion. Now, that is going to kind of bring us to the easier section, and if it wasn't going to be the easier section already, we're going back to the Raptor Talons with the Blood Flame Blade, where you're essentially turning on easy mode, especially at level 85, where people don't have a ton of robustness. They're much more susceptible to bleed, and using this particular setup is going to be quite strong. Also, the player that I'm playing against here, while they are over-leveled and can do quite a bit of damage, they're running very little poise. I respect the cosplay, but it makes something like Raptor Talons extremely deadly, where if you get caught on one of those hits, you're going down very fast, especially because you get the running heavy attack true combo into a follow-up heavy attack, and that's so many hits doing a lot of bleed buildup. And, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it is kind of my mentality with this player, who really just allowed me to get so many strafe backstabs. So I'm not totally sure how many that is. I'm not exactly sure how many kills I've gotten, but I think I counted at 1 point, and we will be getting 5 kills in this invasion, all of them not PvE related. I'm not sure what the count is if you do include PvE, but I just wanted to be sure and make sure they all counted. Not that any of this actually matters, but I thought it was more fun to kind of approach it that way. So at this point, we're going to speed things up a little bit, and here is where another bounty comes into play. Now, I felt like I've kind of gained this host's trust because I'm not really, you know, attacking them too much, so I lay down a Lord's Rune, go after this AFK blue, and they die quite quickly, and then the overleveled phantom gets summoned in for like a 3rd or a 4th time, and they just start swinging with their very easily backstabbable attacks, which we do love to see, but they do get caught with their low poise and just get comboed with the Raptor Talons. So at this point, I think I'm ready to wrap things up here. So I'm going to be dropping some Rainbow Stones. I only have 1 Rainbow Stone left, and fortunately it's enough to make the connection with my Rainbow Stones from earlier. And at this point, I have kind of a difficult decision to make, because obviously they just need to pick up the item, but I feel like I do need a gravity kill. So I go ahead at the last second, switch over to this item that has Troll's Roar on it, and just barely knock them off the ledge and get the kill. I was thinking about using the Jar Cannon, but I didn't think it was fast enough, so timing worked out there, and I was exceedingly happy to get both those two challenges off of this list. So now we're going to be running into the portion where I go for the reverse parry. And if you are, kind of an astute observer, or if you keep your protractor next to your computer screen at all times, which I'm sure many of you do, you'll note that the angle on that first one wasn't quite right. The angle on the second one was also not quite right, and that was a reoccurring theme that I had, where I'd get a free-aimed parry, but it wasn't really a reverse parry. The angle was just, I don't know, it was not the full 180 degrees that I wanted. So that one I thought was pretty good, but I messed up the swap. And the swap isn't necessary, but I feel like it's more fun to go for the swap. So that was really the goal that I was having. So there was a nice kind of properly angled one on the first try, but it didn't connect. And then the second one, again, just not the right angle. And I do get the swap in the riposte, and I was pretty happy about it in the moment, but I really felt like I could do better. So finally, after, kind of abusing these poor hosts, not killing them quickly, I got the full 180 degree parry swap with the riposte, and managed to not actually kill them with the riposte, but I did get them, pretty low health, and I had been kind of abusing them for probably too long at this point. So after that, I was just kind of like, okay, let's wrap this up. So I pulled out the Arumi, which I've really been enjoying. I think it's a lot of fun on the new patch, and you get some nice combos, and I really just liked it before the patch too. So definitely a good time there. But the Sword Spear I feel like is a little bit faster, but also not bad manners to use. So I just kind of switched it back to the Halberd, and that allowed me to get some pretty high damage attacks pretty quickly, which is absolutely what I wanted at this point. I didn't want to drag it on too long, knowing that I would be putting that parry in the video. So I do get some hits on them. They're really not doing very much damage. It's, I don't know, felt a little bit bad, but I finally kind of get them cornered, hit them with a heavy, back off a little bit, and then just kind of wait for my moment to go for a running attack and hit them with that final poke. I threw out a random parry in there, just, because why not at this point. But that was our next successful challenge. We got the backwards parry riposte. And this one, Raptor Talons are just putting in work, and we're gonna go for the flawless invasion. So the host gets pretty unlucky with where their attack comes in and just misses me. And then here we get the rolled in backstab to kind of counter their Ash of War there. And there's our flawless invasion. So that was definitely a fun one. So I actually almost forgot to include this last one, but one of the challenges is to get a kill with a weapon that you can't wield. So to try and make this a little bit more interesting, I went for a weapon swap, and it's slightly more difficult because you do have the added input when the extra window pops up to tell you that you can't wield the weapon. So it's just one extra click, but it actually does require slightly tighter timing on your weapon swap after the parry. So essentially I just got this player to pretty low health, and then was trying to get them in a spot where I could go for the parry and riposte. So here is kind of the final hit to get them in really low damage area, and then I really just need to kind of get this final hit in with the weapon that I can't wield. So finally I kind of set them up for a parry here, and then swap over to Giza's wheel because it's one of the funniest weapons in the game, and do manage to deliver the riposte for the last bit of damage. So those were all 5 of the challenges that were on this bi-weekly list, and I definitely loved it. I had a lot of fun trying to go for these. They definitely are challenging. It took me a decent amount of time, and I have a lot of hours in this game, so I appreciate kind of the level of difficulty, as well as the opportunity to kind of make it your own and have fun with it. You don't need to go for swaps, you don't need to kill the host at the end of the hidden item challenge, but I think things like that definitely add a little bit more character to it and make it a little bit more fun. And this last invasion is just one that I wanted to include with this build because I thought it was pretty fun. It was more patient than I usually am in invasions, and this one I just kind of saw the players that I was against, recognized that they're probably over leveled. They're in a pretty late stage area, and just with the weapons they're using, their play styles, they just kind of felt over leveled. So I really wanted to just play patiently here and come out with a victory. So my main goal is to just not really get hit. I'm not going for like a flawless or anything, but I know that the weapons they're using can do quite a bit of damage, and really my strategy is going to be, lulling them into a sense of security with one weapon that I'm using, and then swap over to something that can guard break this player, because crits are going to be extremely important. So if I can get backstabs, if I can get guard breaks, if I can get parries, that's going to put me in a position where I can actually win this. And I would say that's probably my approach with most overleveled phantoms, is either really high damaging Ash of Wars or getting crits in some capacity. So there you can see I go for a weapon swap cancel to try and get that backstab on the player with the Crozier's Hammers. Not really successful, but that's okay. They're really going for a lot of attacks that leave them open to some critical damage, and you saw me earlier switching over to the Dagger Talisman. I just kind of recognized the situation was going to require these critical attacks, and the extra damage bonus would be pretty nice. So I'm baiting them a little bit backwards where I know there's some PvE behind me. I'm not expecting it to be super helpful, but if I can pull them in that direction, generally I think that's going to be a good move. It's also unclear like how much the host cares. I feel like they're kind of just watching. I'm expecting them not to have too much HP by their level of passiveness, but everybody here is kind of passive. One thing I will say about this particular invasion is that it was really nice to just be playing against the players that were all just melee, and not even spamming their Ashes of War. So I definitely appreciated that a lot when playing against these players, because I feel like it's rare these days to not just get hit by Azura's Comet or just all these different magic-based, projectile-based attacks just constantly. So it really allowed me to take my time here and try to gradually outplay these players and really just kind of keep my health advantage, and not get too greedy at any point in time, wait for my opportunities. And my mentality for this type of invasion is really their advantage is the fact that they have 3 players and they're over leveled. My advantage is that I should be able to bait them into aggression that I can punish. That's generally, I think, what most people have as their mentality, and kind of the way invasions become possible. So if people are too passive and they outnumber you and there's no PvE, it's going to be a little bit problematic for you. So really just kind of baiting their aggression, and it was kind of weird how they took turns. I definitely appreciated that. I wasn't sure if they were hoping I would, stay in an attack animation long enough where they could come in and get a jumping attack, but it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, I'm just going for different opportunities to kind of grab my critical attacks when I can, and that opportunity kind of presented itself. I was kind of getting the rhythm of that player where they would attack out of stun, which is a great way to bait parry. So I was able to kind of get everything set up where I had my parry shield as well as my Dagger Talisman turned on. This player was a little bit more obnoxious, where I just needed to, again, play patiently and kind of switch between a weapon where I had an Ash of War that would guard break them or just do damage. So if they had their shield up, they were they were in risk of being guard broken just by a kick, and then if they didn't, they might get hit by just a regular attack. So kind of putting them between a rock and a hard place, and at this point the host has pretty much entirely given up. They're not participating anymore, which just makes this chase down kind of fun. I feel like I'm totally in the driver's seat at this point, and they don't have a lot of good options. So they're definitely playing, fairly passively, but they can't get away with having their shield up all the time, and just continuous pressure, and maybe lulling them into a sense of security where I've got my helper out just to, maybe they thought they could guard more, and so I can deliver that final kick and get the riposte there. So that's going to be another large number of runes that are not related to the level 85 that we're playing at, but we're finally down to this host, and I mean they continue playing pretty passively, which is not too surprising. I try to chase them down with my Guardian Sword Spear, but figure that the whip might be a little bit better. I really like swapping to the whip, especially when an opponent is low on health. It's a great way to kind of change things up, especially if you can get in just a wave dashing crouch attack or something where you kind of maintain the momentum of your character. But yeah, I'm ultimately able to get the final kill there and come out with the victory. As always, if you made it this far, I just wanted to say thanks so much for watching. I appreciate everybody's support. And I did want to mention that I'm not exactly sure what the future of this channel is. I'm just kind of playing again, having fun, and seeing where it goes. I got a little burnt out and wanted to enjoy my summer, which was kind of the reason for the break, but I am definitely gaming again and have some more time and spending more time inside this winter. So yeah, we'll see where things go, and I hope you have a good one.